Monday at 10.
This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rattle reporting. Good evening. Dramatic developments in the Oliver North criminal trial today. A disclosure in court indicating that in 1985, then Vice President George Bush did play a role in funneling secret aid to Nicaraguan rebels through a third country. This appears to contradict Mr. Bush's aggressive and consistent portrayal of himself as strictly uninvolved. President Bush had no comment on this today. Also, Oliver North himself was under oath and in the witness chair in his own defense today. CBS News correspondent Eric Ingberg begins our coverage.
George Bush, as vice president, carried promises of U.S. aid to the military dictatorship in Honduras as part of an effort at the highest levels of the administration to use enticement to keep the Contra war going in the face of congressional restrictions. Previously secret details revealed at the North trial today show how Bush played top-secret courier to deliver aid pledges to Honduras, where the Contras maintained their headquarters. In 1985, on orders from President Reagan, Mr. Bush told Honduran generals face-to-face they would get expedited delivery of U.S. military items, economic assistance, and U.S. help for their security forces. While such tit-for-tat deals with foreign governments might have been technically legal, the Congressional Iran-Contra Committee declared such tactics to be dangerous, improper, and undermined a cardinal principle of the Constitution.
I believe the administration's actions at the time were clearly inappropriate, possibly illegal, and involved the United States in a way in which our country should not be involved.
Other bizarre revelations dot the 42-page statement read to the jury by lawyers as part of an agreement between Oliver North and the government to declassify previously secret information. When the Contras needed missiles and rockets, then Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Vesey, contacted an official of the People's Republic of China to ask for the weapons, and the Chinese sent them. In 1986, Panamanian strongman Manuel Noriega, then a U.S. friend, sent an aide to see North. The message, if the U.S. would help improve Noriega's bad image and sell him weapons, Noriega would assassinate the Sandinista leadership. North took this proposal to his boss, John Poindexter, who said the U.S. could not get involved in assassinations, but sabotage would be another story. Israel played a key role, too, in aiding the Contras. Under an operation called Tipped Kettle, rifles the Israelis had taken from the PLO were transferred to the CIA, which then turned them over to the Contras without telling Congress. In the past, Mr. Bush has been quick to deny claims he was involved in various Contra aid activities. An aide once declaring the vice president's office had played no coordinating or directing function. But today's portrayal of Mr. Bush as a key figure in keeping the aid flowing from third parties to the Contras brought only a no comment from the White House. Eric Ingberg, CBS News, Washington.
When Oliver North took the stand, the jury saw no sign of the combative and flashy behavior he sometimes displayed while testifying on Capitol Hill. Today, North was subdued and sincere, his voice almost quavering as he began. With his wife Betsy looking on, he described how he took over Contra operations when Congress pulled the plug on Central Intelligence Agency support. It was what we called a handoff, he explained, just like in basketball. The president was adamant that those people we had put in the field should not be abandoned. And North said that all his actions were ordered or authorized by former National Security Council Chiefs Robert McFarlane and John Poindexter, or the late CIA Director William Casey. In fact, he testified it was Casey who told him to recruit General Richard Secord to run the Contra supply operation. Defense counsel Brendan Sullivan carefully led North through testimony designed to refute the charges in the indictment. On withholding of information about foreign contributions to the Contras, North said, "I was told point blank by Mr. McFarlane that was the direction of the President of the United States, that I could not reveal it." On using Contra traveler's checks for his own expenses, North testified it was only to reimburse himself for trips taken that his superiors did not want billed to the government. And on illegal Contra fundraising, North demonstrated the slideshow about Contra needs that he used to show potential contributors, but he insisted to the jury that he never directly asked for money or claimed donations were tax exempt. North got more support earlier in the day when former hostage David Jacobson dramatically testified about how North worked to get him and the other hostages out of Lebanon.
He will ultimately be acquitted.
But the prosecution is expected to put North through a grueling cross-examination, made tougher by Judge Gerhard Gazelle's order today that North must finally produce secret notebooks he kept detailing his activities. Rita Braver, CBS News at the federal courthouse in Washington.
Only nature now can handle the hideous damage inflicted by man in the Alaska oil spill. That's the view tonight of the state cleanup coordinator. He said the 10 million gallon oil slick that gushed from the supertanker Exxon Valdez is now, and I quote, unmanageable, just immense. He said only tides, winds, and ocean currents can remove the slick. Correspondent John Blackstone begins our coverage.
Captain Joseph Hazelwood, his bail reduced from $1 million to $25,000, was released from jail today as more details emerged of what may have happened on the bridge of the Exxon Valdez on the night of the biggest oil spill in American history. Captain Hazelwood was in the wheelhouse until 10 minutes or even less before the accident. It was the captain who set the huge tanker on a course directly toward Bly Reef. The maneuver was meant to avoid floating ice. The Coast Guard says the captain went below to his cabin and instructed the third mate to steer the ship back into the shipping lane.
And he asked the third mate if he understood the instructions, and he was going below. For part of that time, it was on automatic pilot.
But reports today suggest confusion over the use of the automatic pilot may have cost precious time for action in the wheelhouse. A Coast Guard investigator told the Anchorage Times he believed the captain did not tell the third mate the autopilot was activated. Others close to the investigation dispute that theory, and neither the captain nor the third mate has as yet given details to investigators. There is evidence the helmsman, the man actually at the wheel, was inexperienced. That may also have contributed to lost time as the crew struggled to stop the tanker from ramming straight into the reef. The Alyeska Pipeline Company has been ordered to be better prepared for future oil spills. A list of tough new requirements from the state government includes a 12-man oil spill response team and enough equipment ready in Valdez to fight a 10 million gallon spill within 2 hours. All tankers must be accompanied through Prince William Sound by 2 tugboats. If the plan is not followed, company officials could be liable to steep fines and jail time. The pipeline could even be closed. The events of the past 2 weeks have changed the operation of the Alaska Pipeline forever. John Blackstone, CBS News, Valdez, Alaska.
The Commandant of the Coast Guard delivered the bad news. The cleanup efforts in Prince William Sound have so far recovered only 4% of the 10 million gallons of spilled oil, and the prospects of removing much more are poor.
It's beyond man at this point with what we have to do what we'd like to do.
The testimony of the Admiral and others before congressional committees today documented that the biggest oil spill in U.S. history may also be the nation's worst environmental disaster.
It is the San Francisco earthquake of ecological catastrophes.
Worse yet, the Coast Guard, with only $3 to $4 million in available cleanup funds, has no choice but to depend on Exxon to carry out a job that is expected to cost at least $100 to $200 million.
I would be very reluctant to federalize this bill with $4 million in my pocket.
From Alaska, the lieutenant governor and the mayor of Valdez insisted bitterly that Exxon's efforts were not enough, that they need the benefits that come from a federal declaration of disaster.
But right now, we have people that are suffering, and they're suffering greatly, and we need some help.
The one word that I heard more than any other word when I was home was betrayal. We've been betrayed.
But the administration remains reluctant to take over the cleanup and is instead asking Exxon to set up an emergency fund to compensate those who have filed damage claims.
That might be, frankly, quicker and better than some government program.
Exxon's chairman repeated that the company will pay for the cleanup and all valid claims, but he left himself some wiggle room.
We're having a lot of people show up from a lot of places that have never even seen Valdez before.
Meanwhile, the administration, sensitive to the criticism that the cleanup has been slow and ineffective, decided late today to commit 1,000 to 2,000 Army troops to the next phase of the effort. Terrence Smith, CBS News, Washington.
Still to come on the CBS Evening News, Bob McNamara on the U.S. oil thirst and its new threat to the cold, clean top of the world. And Mark Phillips on the new takeoff of Eastern Airlines with union workers, part owners.
My favorite city in the world, Old San Juan. Let me show you the rhythms that echo through the night. Let me show you a chef who knows more delicious secrets than stars in the sky. Let me show you a culture 500 years strong, and how this ancient city can capture the heart forever.
Puerto Rico, the shining star.
When we go on vacation, I take a bottle with me. If his back acts up, I know Metaprin's definitely going to work.
I'm a 5th grade teacher, which means big headaches, which means Metaprin.
Sometimes I wake up with bad headaches. I keep Metaprin right next to the bed.
Metaprin's made for tough pain because it's made with ibuprofen, the same medicine as in Motrin, and nothing's proven faster.
Metaprin takes the pain away fast. What more can you ask for?
Metaprin really works.
Nothing worked for me before Metaprin. Nothing.
When the pain gets tough, get Metaprin.
Here's today's leader in big pickups, Ford. Ford leads in the important advantages that Chevy can't talk about.
Go with the leader.
Ford leads Chevy with a longer, wider, deeper box that carries more maximum payload than Chevy.
Go with the leader.
This Ford costs $715 less than a comparably equipped Chevy, and that's leadership in solid value.
Go with the leader. Ford trucks.
Get up to $750 cash bonus on selected '89 Ford F-Series trucks.
It's official. A group led by former baseball commissioner Peter Ueberroth today announced it has agreed to buy ailing Eastern Airlines for an estimated $464 million. Virtually shut down by a month-old strike and long crippled by management, union, and other problems, Eastern hasn't shown a profitable quarter since 1985. But Mark Phillips reports spirits were soaring today.
It's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out of the ball game.
The former commissioner of baseball had just been announced as the new buyer of Eastern, and the airline's striking employees were declaring victory. The employees had reason to rejoice. They had not only forced Frank Lorenzo, head of Eastern's parent company Texas Air, to sell.
You lose, Lorenzo, you lose.
The employees will also get a piece of the action themselves. Under Peter Ueberroth's novel scheme, he and a partner will own 30% of the airline. The employees will own 30% in return for wage and benefit concessions yet to be finalized, and outside investors will own the rest.
We are not there yet, and it's not my airline. It's going to belong to the people who work there.
The sale still has to be approved by the bankruptcy court. New union deals still have to be worked out. The strike continues.
Let's let the I's be dotted and the T's crossed, and let's see if there's a real deal here.
But in this very personal and often ugly dispute, Lorenzo left with one last jab, one last rebuff to those who said he had merely been out to bleed Eastern dry.
We could have liquidated this company for substantially more than we are selling it for.
The job of trying to rebuild Eastern began immediately. Peter Ueberroth came to Washington this afternoon to meet with Eastern striking unions. They will want not only a piece of Eastern's equity, but some significant say in the way the airline is run. Mark Phillips, CBS News, Washington.
A federal grand jury in Cincinnati today indicted a former housemate of embattled Reds manager Pete Rose. Charges tax evasion and conspiracy to distribute cocaine. This indictment charges that 31-year-old Thomas P. Giosa conspired to hide the identity of the winning ticket holder for a horse race in January 1987. Rose is under investigation for alleged gambling activities, including betting on baseball.
Now that you're 40, would it kill you to eat Kellogg's 40-plus bran flakes?
Dad, this stuff's healthy.
After 40, that stuff's no better than elephant puffs.
Kellogg's 40-plus bran flakes. For you after 40. Because if you need it, it's got the maximum level of fiber plus iron in one cereal.
I hate it when you're right.
I've waited 40 years to hear that.
Kellogg's 40-plus bran flakes. After 40, everything else is just kid stuff.
I've got you under my rim. Vanished foaming clings deep in the heart of me. It cleans and freshens every part of me. New Vanished foaming under my rim.
Gets under the rim to make cleaning easy. And for an easy way to help keep it clean between brushings, try Vanish Drop-Ins. Just pop one in your tank to help keep your bowl clean and fresh for weeks. New Vanish Foamin' and Vanish Drop-Ins. They clean in perfect harmony.
This is one of 570 million refund locations for American Express traveler's checks. Because now you can get a refund anywhere there's a phone. Hand delivered anywhere you want, virtually anywhere in the world. But remember, only American Express traveler's checks offers this service. So if your bank doesn't carry them, go to one that does. Don't leave home without them.
At the White House today, Israeli Prime Minister Shamir outlined a plan aimed at ending 15 months of unrest in the West Bank and Gaza. At the center of this plan, Palestinian elections in the territories. As the violence there continued, President Bush asked Shamir to take even more steps toward peace. Our coverage begins with CBS News White House correspondent Leslie Stahl.
Critics are calling Shamir's proposal for Palestinian elections in the occupied territories old wine in new bottles. But today, President Bush endorsed the Prime Minister's plan.
The United States believes that elections in the territories can be designed to contribute to a political process of dialogue and negotiation.
Mr. Bush latched onto Shamir's willingness to make any proposals at all, embracing elections as a way to jumpstart the peace process. But the president also challenged Israel to withdraw from the occupied territories and to talk to the PLO.
Throughout the world, old enemies are finding ways to talk to one another. This can and must happen in the Middle East.
Even though Mr. Bush quoted the Prime Minister as saying all options are open, Shamir emphasized just the opposite.
The choice is not between Israel keeping the territories or risking war. The opposite is true. He believed there will almost certainly be war.
Determined to show an even-handed approach, Mr. Bush took Shamir on a tour of the Air and Space Museum, an answer, if you will, to his baseball outing with Egyptian President Mubarak. Grasping for signs of goodwill, no matter how small, that's the Bush approach to the Middle East.
You've got to get the parties pregnant first, and then you've got to nurture it and encourage it and incubate it so that when the egg actually hatches, you have something that you can work with.
What President Bush will now nurture is the idea of West Bank elections, which won't be easy to arrange. The Palestinians and other Arabs are already on the record against them. Leslie Stahl, CBS News, the White House.
As the leaders of the United States and Israel were discussing the peace process in Washington, the 422nd victim of the Palestinian uprising was being buried, and the young man most likely to become the 423rd was being shot. It was all happening around the Bethlehem battleground called Manger Square, riot-scarred and deadly. 17-year-old Dahoud Nassar got 2 bullets in the brain. Doctors at an Arab hospital gave him hours to live. His family fought his removal to a Jewish hospital with better facilities. The irony is that so many Palestinians and Israelis firing off bullets and abuse at each other today agree on where this is all going to end. Arabs and Jews will tell you that one day there'll be some kind of Palestinian homeland in the occupied territories that will be linked to Jordan or to Israel or to both, that will have some attributes of a nation, such as a post office, but not others, such as an air force. Pollsters and professors here say Israeli public opinion is heading in that direction.
I think the demonization of each other, seeing each other as devils, seeing each other as getting political aids if we talk to each other, has disappeared.
But this realization has not yet reached reality. On the West Bank of the Jordan, mourners are mocked by the flagrant arrival of spring, while Israelis try to control the burial of the dead. Only 20 can come to the cemetery, the soldiers say. The people disagree.
To bury our dead man as we like.
Prime Minister Shamir says the uprising has to stop before reforms can be implemented, elections held. Palestinians say they have to keep it up, or the urgency for a settlement and American involvement will disappear. Bob Simon, CBS News, Calkilia.
These folks are all champion gardeners in the Guinness Book of World Records, and they're teaching these kids about gardening.
Water it regularly, and don't forget the Miracle-Gro.
My mom uses Miracle-Gro on everything.
That's because Miracle-Gro gives her lots more flowers and vegetables.
And bigger ones, too. Miracle-Gro helped me grow the biggest pepper in the world.
Hey, if world champion gardeners depend on Miracle-Gro, shouldn't you? Now, the Miracle-Gro no-clog feeder. So easy, you'll feed your whole yard in minutes.
It's deer season. Time to drive a bargain with your John Deere dealer. Now you can get $100 to $300 off on riders and tractors. Or choose accessories at no extra cost. But hurry, deer season ends May 31st. See your John Deere dealer and drive home a bargain.
We're here to gently remind you that you can depend on your mom.
Phillips Milk of Magnesia, the laxative for dependable overnight relief.
It helps your body work naturally. So it's gentle.
Nobody treats you better than Mom.
Mom knows best. Leave it to Mom.
They said this concrete would last for years. Now it has expensive water damage. Why?
Even concrete needs the protection of Thompson's Water Seal. It penetrates to protect wood, brick, and concrete from water damage. Thompson's the first name in lasting protection.
In London today, Soviet leader Gorbachev and British Prime Minister Thatcher held 4 hours of talks described as both fierce and friendly. CBS News Moscow correspondent Barry Peterson has our report.
Mikhail Gorbachev had a handshake, a smile, and a pointed message for Mrs. Thatcher to pass along to Washington, that he is increasingly frustrated with President Bush's slow movement toward a superpower summit.
We understand that the new administration needs time to study foreign policy, because there are new faces there, and some of them don't know what foreign policy is about.
Publicly, today's theme song was all about harmony.
The talks have been very deep, very wide-ranging, and very friendly.
But away from the cameras, they collided head-on. Mrs. Thatcher is pushing for the modernization of NATO nuclear weapons. Gorbachev is trying to block it. Neither side budged. On the sale of sophisticated Soviet bombers to Libya, there was protest from Mrs. Thatcher, reportedly no comment from Gorbachev. But other Soviets said the release of the story in America was an effort by some in Washington to sabotage these talks. If so, it didn't work. The two were having such a good time that Mrs. Thatcher was giving Gorbachev pointers on which way to turn to get the maximum cheers. Gorbachev showed his political instincts, and the crowd loved him.
Thank you all for this reception.
And Raisa Gorbachev found the issue that has the average Englishman on the edge of his seat. Will her husband invite the Queen to Moscow when the Gorbachevs lunch at Windsor Castle tomorrow? Her diplomatic answer? Stay tuned. Barry Peterson, CBS News, London.
South Africa's President P.W. Botha announced today that he will retire later this year after a decade in office. Botha's party had been pressuring him to step down since he suffered a stroke in January. Party leader F.W. de Klerk is expected to succeed Botha now as President of South Africa. In New York today, federal prosecutors said former Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos is too ill right now to stand trial with his wife on fraud and racketeering charges.
You've been hearing a lot of news recently about the importance of including whole grain in your diet. But of these leading cereals, only one is made from 100% whole grain. Only Wheaties. So Only Wheaties gives you whole grain nutrition. And maybe that's why Only Wheaties has Michael Jordan. Better get your whole grain.
You better eat your Wheaties.
This year, there's a way that most Americans can get up to $1,500 back. Not from the government, from Subaru.
Up to $1,500 back or 4.9 financing on a Subaru.
Got a nice minty taste to it.
That's good.
Can you say that about your liquid antacid? If not, taste new Tums Liquid.
It has a nice taste to it. It's delicious. Tums tastes the best.
New Tums Liquid. It works, and it really tastes good.
Ready? L.A.
The L.A.
90
office.
calls to
L.A.
What's your total?
I'm not.
Okay, Boston.
Boston.
Normal, right?
No.
Chicago?
Chicago.
Richard?
Look, you have the MCI bill.
Yeah.
I have AT&T.
Yeah.
MCI does it all in one. AT&T's bills are all over the place.
Oh, you want to switch?
Definitely.
MCI. We are the better long-distance company.
Earlier tonight, we reported the latest on the ecological disaster of that massive oil spill in Alaska's Prince William Sound. It is a story that will not go away. a terrifying demonstration of the high-wire balancing act between the demands of technology and the laws of nature. And Bob McNamara reports that the next chapter already is being written, with no certainty how the story will end.
In the Arctic winter, it is a frozen, forbidding desert, one that only summer uncovers as one of the last unspoiled places on Earth. It is the 19 million acre Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, the ANWR, a wilderness where in early spring, North America's largest remaining caribou herd migrates and bears its young, a land revered by Eskimo and Indian natives.
There's no place that you can call wilderness. This is the only last place. No, they call it last frontier, and they should keep it that way.
But here where the American frontier finally runs out of tundra at the top of the world, energy companies believe there is oil, maybe more oil than the richest American find in nearby Prudhoe Bay, and the Bush administration wants it explored.
It is inconceivable that any nation would walk away from the resources that may exist in the magnitude that is potentially there.
But on the edge of the refuge, in the Athabascan Indian hamlet of Arctic Village, there's fear that oil drilling even 150 miles away will forever scare away the porcupine caribou, a herd that's made hard lives survivable for generations.
If there's no more porcupine herd, then I don't know what we're going to do. Are we going to starve? I don't know.
But even with massive Arctic oil production like Prudhoe Bay's and another pipeline, oil companies dispute native fears.
When you put a facility on the tundra, you displace some animals that there's literally millions of acres of tundra either side of you for those animals to move to.
That's not the issue. The issue is, shouldn't the American people, future generations, have one stretch of the North Slope of Alaska that is not developed?
If big oil does invade the ANWR, Little Kaktovik would be ground zero. An Eskimo whaling village and radar defense outpost on the distant early warning line, town fathers and most others want oil.
It's going to be good for the community. There'll be a lot of jobs opening.
But not far removed from Ice Age ways, not everyone wants a boom town.
There's going to be, helicopters 24 hours a day. It's going to be lots of tension.
Though Daily Mail to Arctic Village brought news of the Valdez oil disaster, raising hope that drilling the ANWR would be abandoned by Congress, hopes now dim.
Before this Congress is over, the responsible people in this government will support the drilling of ANWR. We have no alternative.
There has always been a resignation here that the insatiable energy glutton of the lower 48 states cares for cars, not caribou. And it doesn't help knowing, too, said a village preacher, that the man in the Oval Office was an oil man. Bob McNamara, CBS News, Arctic Village, Alaska.
And that's the CBS Evening News. We hope you and your family will stay tuned now for 48 hours on Toy Money, an inside look at the world where toys are not just kid stuff. That's coming up here soon, tonight at 8, 7 Central Time. Dan Rather. See you then.
Toy Money, the high-stakes game that even Donald Trump is joining.
Show me a person without an ego and I'm going to show you a loser.
48 hours tonight.
This is CBS.